Griffin Poetry Prize 2001. Judge's Citation, Anne Carson. Anne Carson continues to redefine what a book of poetry can be. This ambitious collection ranges from quatrains studded with uncanny images, "Here lies the refugee breather who drank a bowl of elsewhere," to musing verse essays, personal laments, rigorous classical scholarship, and meditations on artists' lives caught in the carnage of history. All are burnished by Carson's dialectical imagination and her quizzical, stricken moral sense. From Seated Figure with Red Angle, Anne Carson.
Its body is always deep, but deepest at its surface. Its conditionals are of two kinds, factual and contrafactual. If you are pushing, and then it begins to pull you. If police in that city burnt off people's hands with a blowtorch. If quite darkly colored or reddish bodies swim there. If afterwards she would sit the way a very old person sits with no pants on, confused. If you reach in, if you burrow, if you risk wiping in. If a point that has been fed over years becomes a little bit alive. If the seated figure started out with an idea of interrogation. If there was a quality of very strong electrical light. If you had the idea of interrogation. If interrogation is a desire to get information which is not given or not given freely. If buried all but traceless in the dark in its energy, sitting, drifting within your own is another body. If at first it sounded like rain. If your defense is perfect after all, it was the trees that walked away. If objects are not solid. If objects are much too solid. If conditionals are of two kinds, possible and impossible. If she slides off, if you do. If red is the color of cliché. If red is the best color. If red is the color of art pain. If arto is a cliché. If artists tell you art is before thought. If you want to know things like where that leg is exactly. If the horses were exhausted. If you drove here with toys in the back seat. If you wrote a word on the floor of the cell in water drops and videotaped it drying. If the Truvia says no temple can be coherently constructed unless it is put together exactly as a human body is. If red is the color of italics. If italics are a lure of thought. If Freud says the relation between a gaze and what one wishes to see involves a lure. If you cannot remember what word you wrote. If art is the servant of allure. If the rain lashes your face like names of all the horses of this century. If conditionals are of two kinds, graven and where is a place I can write this?
Men in the Off Hours by Anne Carson.
I just wanted to say that I'm kind of dazed by the caliber of the competition, as Heather said last night. It's really a heady experience to be involved with so many extraordinary people. So thank you.